Randy Owen is remembered by millions as the unmistakable voice of Alabama, a sound that once filled stadiums and reshaped country rock forever. Yet behind that powerful voice lived a man whose inner world was far quieter, marked by shyness, self-doubt, and a lifelong struggle to reconcile fame with authenticity. Before every show, even at the height of success, Randy often stood alone behind the curtain, gripping his guitar as though it were an anchor. In those moments, he was no legend, only the same mountain boy from Fort Payne, Alabama, who once trembled when speaking aloud. This is not merely the story of a musical career. It is the story of a man shaped by hardship, faith, land, and family, who carried his past with him even as the world lifted him onto its brightest stages. Randy Owen's life reminds us that greatness does not erase vulnerability. It often grows from it. Roots in red clay, a childhood of scarcity and faith. Randy Owen was born on December 13, 1949, in a modest wooden house near Lookout Mountain, Alabama. Life in Fort Payne was shaped by red clay soil, mountain winds, and long days of physical labor. His parents worked tirelessly, farming land that rarely yielded abundance, teaching their children that dignity came not from possessions, but from effort and integrity. Money was scarce, and Randy often wore the same pair of jeans throughout the week. Yet within that scarcity lived warmth, faith, and resilience. His mother played piano at church, filling their home with hymns that offered comfort after exhausting days. His father taught him discipline through action, rising before dawn to work the fields. These early lessons, gratitude, humility, perseverance, became the foundation of Randy's character. Even as his life expanded beyond those mountains, the values formed there never loosened their grip on his soul. Music as refuge, finding a voice without confidence. Music entered Randy's life not as ambition, but as refuge. The $25 piano his parents saved for opened a world that felt gentler than the fields outside. His mother's singing guided his ear, while guitar strings became a place to hide his shyness. Randy struggled in school, dropping out briefly before returning to graduate from Fort Payne High School in 1969. Later, he earned an English degree from Jacksonville State University, an achievement born of persistence rather than confidence. Even then, he never saw himself as a performer. He preferred silence, avoided attention, and felt most comfortable letting music speak for him. Singing allowed him to express what words could not. That tension between the urge to retreat and the need to express would define his artistry. Randy did not chase dieser light. He found himself slowly pulled toward it, one quiet note at a time. First steps into fear, the birth of Alabama. In 1969, Randy made a decision that quietly changed everything. Alongside Teddy Gentry and Jeff Cook, he formed a band that would eventually become Alabama. At first, it was nothing more than 3 young men rehearsing in cramped rooms and barns, blending harmonies through trial and exhaustion. Randy had no formal training, no stage confidence, and no belief that music could become a life. Bar gigs across Alabama became his proving ground. He often stood behind his guitar, hiding from the crowd, his voice trembling with stage fright. When Teddy urged him forward, it wasn't pressure. It was belief. Slowly, Randy learned that courage didn't mean fear disappeared. It meant stepping forward despite it. Those early years were not glamorous. They were built on endurance, repetition, and discomfort. But they formed the backbone of an artist who would one day command massive stages without losing his humility. The long road to recognition, Myrtle Beach, and survival. The early 1970s brought relentless work rather than success. In Myrtle Beach, Randy sang up to 15 hours a day at the Bowery, pushing his voice to the edge of exhaustion. His vocal cords burned, his body weakened, and his shyness never faded. He hated speaking to crowds, avoided interviews, and often let others speak for him. Yet, something remarkable happened during those endless performances. Randy's voice matured, not just technically but emotionally. He learned to hold an audience without showmanship, to sing with honesty rather than force. The hardship shaped him into an artist grounded in authenticity. There were no hit records, no applause-filled nights, only survival. But those years gave him something far more valuable than recognition. They gave him a foundation strong enough to carry success without collapsing beneath it. Songs from home, fame without losing roots. Everything changed when Alabama signed with RCA Records in 1980. My Homes in Alabama and Tennessee River didn't sound like calculated hits. They sounded like memories. Listeners felt the sincerity immediately. Randy wasn't performing a persona. He was returning home through song. Mountain music followed, filled with images of creeks, hillsides, and church pianos. Fame arrived quickly, almost violently. Albums went multi-platinum. Singles dominated the charts. Yet Randy reacted not with celebration but silence. Success felt overwhelming, too large to hold. On stage, he remained slightly hunched, eyes lowered as though guarding himself from excess pride. He never believed the spotlight belonged to him alone. It belonged to the land, the family, and the life that shaped him. His music resonated because it never left those roots behind, carrying the weight, loss, exhaustion, and reflection. With success came a cost few could see. Endless tours blurred time and place. Randy often woke in hotel rooms, unsure of what city he was in. His shy nature made public appearances exhausting, and grief had no space to breathe. When his father passed away, Randy still performed that night, singing through tears the audience never noticed. That loss changed his voice, adding depth shaped by absence. Over time, exhaustion crept in, not just physical, but emotional. He realized that even love for music could become unsustainable without rest. When Alabama announced their farewell tour, it was not defeat. It was release. Randy felt no regret stepping away, only gratitude. The road had been long enough. He had given everything he had. A quieter chapter, family, faith, and giving back life. After full-time touring allowed Randy to rediscover stillness. On his farm in Fort Payne, he found peace tending cattle and walking land that had always felt like home. His marriage to Kelly, steady, private, enduring, remained his anchor. Together they raised 3 children, and Randy quietly fulfilled a promise to put them all through college. Philanthropy became central to his life, especially his work with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. After surviving prostate cancer, gratitude deepened into responsibility. He sat with sick children not as a celebrity, but as a listener. Music no longer demanded performance. It became conversation through radio, mentorship, and gentle solo work. Randy learned that impact didn't require applause. It required presence, grief, and grace, living with what remains. The passing of Jeff Cook in 2022 and the loss of Randy's mother marked profound shifts. These were not public tragedies. They were personal fractures. Jeff was not just a bandmate, but a brother. His mother was the source of music itself. Grief settled quietly into Randy's eyes, visible even as his voice remained steady. Yet he continued, not out of obligation, but love. Alabama's reunion performances carried a deeper weight. Songs now echoed with memory. Randy no longer chased legacy. He lived within it, gently, choosing appearances with care. His days became slower, richer, anchored in gratitude for what remained rather than sorrow for what was lost. Outro. Holding on to what matters. Randy Owen's story is not defined by records sold or awards won, though those achievements are undeniable. His true legacy lies in authenticity, the refusal to abandon his roots, even when the world begged him to become a symbol. He stayed on Lookout Mountain. He stayed loyal to family, faith, and land. His music carries the scent of soil, the sound of wind through fields, and the quiet strength of working people. Randy never sought to be an icon. He sought peace, and in doing so, he gave generations something far rarer than fame. A reminder that humility can coexist with greatness, that vulnerability can fuel strength, and that sometimes the most powerful journey is the one that leads you back home.